Time to go back to the media center, isn't it? Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order of the Bethel Local Schools Facilities Committee. I'll go ahead and call the roll. Mr. Gilbert? Mr. Crispin is here. Mrs. Hageman? Mr. Runkle? Mr. Elam?
Here.
Mrs. Sebastian?
Here.
Mrs. Reese? Present. Thank you. Any additions, changes to tonight's agenda? Okay. Any communications, meetings, announcements? Okay, items for discussion, subcommittee reports, Peterson update and athletic field update. We had a core meeting today. I'll read through those notes and then just a couple other things to add. So this is for Bethel Elementary mostly. There is one item on here for the competition field. Masonry bearing is continuing in the last area, Area 9, which is classroom wing. Hope to have it wrapped up in the next couple of weeks. Masonry veneer installation will follow. Last structural steel deliveries are due this week and next. Erection is taking place in areas 6 through 8, which is classroom wing, administration, and kitchen areas. Roof installation is complete for areas 3 through 5. That's the mechanical area and kindergarten wing. Contractor will be back in a couple of weeks to continue work there. Metal stud framing is beginning along with mechanical ductwork hanging. Then dirt work on the football field is going to pick back up for the track and bleacher pads. Lori, anything in addition to those items before I get into the other stuff?
No, I think the utilities are pretty well done. They said they have to run water from the main line, but I believe the electricity is run to the facility, and then they'll probably have to run that back to the athletic field. So hopefully no more surprises. They are working on a PR for the propane tank pad and fencing. And I think we have to have some concrete Ballards, thank you, that's the word. So they will be getting that costing to us, and they are still waiting on the cable company. That's why there are still 2 poles along 201 until the cable company figures out what they're doing with their line. We can't take or whoever can't take those other poles out. So, but I think Agenbrod looks really great right now. I've been driving past every day. That project went pretty smoothly. So thank you to all the utility people who were involved in all that. So I'm excited.
Great, thank you. So we're going to take one more crack at artificial turf for the competition field. And we have a couple things in the works. We have 2 potential major donors that have approached us, and Damon and I are going to make a pitch tomorrow, and then we're waiting for at 10 o'clock tomorrow, and then waiting for another appointment for the other organization. So fingers crossed there. Also, we've asked our attorneys at Enos and Britton to write us an opinion paper for the use of some of our ESSER funds and ESSER 3 for the to do the artificial turf. And so that does fall under, if you want to be familiar with the 14 provisions of ESSER, let me know and I can get those to you. But essentially, ESSER has been about addressing learning loss and making facilities more habitable, user-friendly during pandemic-type situations. And so not only for students, but also the public. And we know our stadium is used by the public. We expect our folks to access the track, use the field. It's a rally site for any evacuation events that we might have. So we're going to get that opinion letter and submit an application to use the funds, part of the funds, for the field. So we're hoping to have that letter from Enos and Britton by the end of the week. Get the application in next week, 2 to 3 weeks with ODE sometimes. And then from that point, if it's accepted and approved, we'll need to get an RFP ready, which we have specs for what you all wanted originally. And we would have to submit an RFP and do a 2-week advertisement, open bids, and select a vendor. So we'll worry about those things, but right now it's getting that getting that letter and getting approval from ODE, and then we'll touch the rest of those bases, getting an RFP and that type of thing, and maybe we'll get that artificial field.
And just so the other board members know, there may be board approval needed at 1 or 2 stages of that process, so there may be a special meeting involved. I'm not exactly sure. We discussed it a little bit at the core meeting today, but just be aware of that. We don't want to wait because Peterson wants to keep runs on site and keep moving. So I'm just letting you know, if we do need to have board approval before submitting the ESSER application to ODE, or even after we get the RFPs back, there may be a special meeting called if it doesn't coincide with a regular scheduled board meeting. So just informational only.
Yep. Julie?
So do you have any numbers for us, like what the 2 major donors may be kicking in, and then what that would leave, that would have to come out of the ESSER funds?
So Damon, and I'll send this out to the committee, at my request, did kind of an update flyer of a picture of the actual site, the football field, and something you've seen, listed the donors, the donors that have already pledged money or given money,
Yeah,
and then what's available. Do you have that?
I think it's on the Bethel Legacy site.
Yeah.
Let me look.
So I don't have those committed to memory, and I think all I have is a hard copy.
Yeah, I meant
on my
you said
tape.
there was 2 additional donors possible.
Yep.
And then what after that, what would that leave in ESSER funds that we would have to use?
So we're right now so I think the Maumee Bay. When did that quote come in? Was that a year ago, Maumee Bay?
Probably
the field?
6 or 9 months ago.
Okay.
Take me a second to find it. What the date was. Sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So whatever. I think it was like 670 something.
Oh, the cost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's like 7 1/4.
Yeah.
So what I thought what we might do is there's enough in the ESSER pot that we can still put 20% towards learning loss and items for the classroom and student needs, and still cover the cost of the field.
The original cost was $678.
There you go. If we get donor money, obviously if they plug themselves into one of those slots, that's where we're going to use those funds.
And Julie, remember, we not really borrowed, but took some of the athletic stadium money so we could finish some of the infrastructure for both projects. And so we said we had $3.5 million for the athletic stadium, and I don't know exactly how much we took, but it was reduced that pot. And I know there was concerns about finishing the field house. Without a field house, we don't have bathrooms and all that stuff. So it's kind of a big deal.
So we'll keep you posted, but I'll send that updated flyer out because he did a nice job on that.
Good.
Last thing is, so I'm getting deep enough into Bethel local schools that we're going to have a meeting next week with the two principals, elementary principals, Mr. Bird, and just sit down with a floor plan and start thinking about who goes where and what, I know that's been done originally. People have kind of forgotten. It's gotten a little fuzzy, but we need to dust that information off, make sure that we have enough room for specials and that kind of thing. And we're also going to talk about, I guess it would be the nomenclature for the rooms, how we're going to label the rooms and that type of thing. So there was some discussion about north and south. There were discussions about sections with letters, A, B, C, with numbers. So we'll bring those back to the committee next month. And then let's see, I thought there was one more thing. Fifth grade wing, yeah. So I asked the question today of Garmin Miller, Peterson. We haven't really dipped into our contingency funds, and so my question was, at what point are they going to feel comfortable to start releasing some of those funds to address our alternates? And I think everybody with a head nod thought our number one alternate would be getting the fifth grade wing completed. And so they thought they were probably a couple of weeks out, pretty close to at least being able to release funds to do, they'd like to break it up into two parts. First phase would be walls, electricity, HVAC, and then the second would be cubbies and those types of things. There's extra, well, there was some other things they rattled off. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, and they might even do it in 3 packages. I didn't follow all of that, but
yeah. So anyways, that was good news, and kudos to them for getting us along this far without having to go into those funds. So keep your fingers crossed and knock on wood, light candles, whatever you do, so that we can get that thing closed up. And maybe I think we're going to need to put it to use. If you look at the numbers I put out, we're 900 elementary students right now. So anyways, that was the last piece for me.
And Garmin Miller did say the project's probably at the end of the month, I think between 40 and 50% complete. They don't like to release the contingency until it's 50% complete, and that's just standard on any OFCC project. They said we will be taking on risk because there's still a lot of things that need done. They could run into some issues and need contingency, and I said we're aware we're taking on risk, but this is an important part. So I mean, I just want to be open and transparent with everyone. There is a risk to using that contingency, but we at some point we have to decide where we're not going to get the building finished.
My impression of them, they're pretty conservative bunch, and I know we are, and I don't think they would put that out there if they weren't comfortable. I mean, anything can happen, but I just don't think they'd put it out there if they didn't feel good about it. So we'll see you in a couple weeks. Yeah. Okay, if there are no questions on those items, we go to item B, hearing of the public. Welcome all. Anybody like to address the facilities committee? Nobody's rushing towards the podium. Okay. Our next meeting, item C there, is October 10th, 6:30 p.m. Let's try to go back to Bethel or to the media center. Is that is that problematic if we go back to the media center, or?
Well, that's the night of our regular business meeting that we've been holding in here for a number of months.
Okay, we'll stay here. That's
okay.
That's fine. It's not a very intimate spot here for our
No.
folks that have joined us.
No.
But okay, very good. I'll accept a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I'll move.
Mr. Elam moves.
I'll second.
Ms. Reese seconds. Roll call. Mr. Gilbert. Yes. Mr. Elam.
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian.
Yes.
Mrs. Reese.
Yes.
Mr. Crispin, of course. Meeting's adjourned, 6:46 p.m. Thank you.